Good evening, YouTube. This is Kaylin String coming at you with my regular Sunday night dinner. And I will be doing a menu I have done not all that long ago, but I'm going to try a little something different with the main. I'm not sure if it is from the same pack year. It is in the newer packing style that Sapaco has been using for the past few years. It looks like the inner bag from all AmeriQual US MREs and some Sapaco packed US MREs in a tan bag. Not in the same type of bag that these Halal MREs used to be in and what the totems are still in. I could not see a date code on here because this side of this retort pouch is blank, nothing on it, so the date is hidden and there is none on this card. But based on this pack style, it has to be later than, say, could be 2018, 2019. So when this is done, I will add the year on this. There are several sets of codes on here, so I'm not sure which one is the pack date on this retort, but this is the main. So I will pull out one of the other items. An oatmeal cookie. I can't seem to find a date code on this. Sometimes these can be hard to see. If this cookie is like the last one, it might have a slight cinnamon flavor to it. Snack-a-doodle. There we go. First digit is a 1, so this is a 2021 pack. So got Mike Cresher's here, Wide Family Farm, James Ortiz's here, Spicy Tuna Rolls, Cliff is here, and Tracy Phillips. And I'm scrolling back. Emphasis here. Those are all that I see so far. And I did put it on the live chat this time. So hopefully this Snack-a-doodle mix will taste pretty decent tonight. A great drink. That'll go in the drinking jar. Roasted and salted peanuts. Got straight up cranberries. And the accessory kit was literally sealed into the outer bag, but just barely. The only drawback to these is these do not make great trash bags. And the last two items in here are the sleeve with nothing on the back of this one. And the FRH. And as usual with these Halal MREs, no hot drink. White tip matches in a white cover. Usual MRE spoon. Unlike other US MREs, you get an actual napkin. So you get 2 packs of sugar. What are you supposed to do with it? You just do like someone might want for a quick energy boost on the go, is just open up the packet, drop it in your mouth, and just go on about your business. Salt. And something that every US MRE should have. Pepper. Wet wipe in the rear roll. That is my way of keeping the dust under control. So this white powder turns into that funky purple. It'll settle itself out over time. I'm going to have a G7 coffee. This is the Vietnamese coffee brand. They do different flavors and some without the creamer and sugar in it. So what I'm going to do is take this into the kitchen. I'll put this in the pot, and then I'll come back with the water for my coffee, and I'll be right back. I just took the kettle back into the kitchen just to get it out of the way. There's Bentley's Backwoods Bushcraft in the house. Thanks for dropping in. This is a 2021 U.S. Halal MRE. These are snack heavy. So I'm going to go ahead and open up these other items. There's a little bit of hiss from the peanuts. Yeah, the tear notch for the cranberries is right in the middle of the bag. Let's see. Easy Money is here. Haven't seen you in a minute. Thanks for dropping in. oxygen absorber. This Snackadoodle mix is a fairly new snack. This is not even known about just a few years ago. I'm going to open up the oatmeal cookie. Yep, I can smell the cinnamon in it. There is CT in the house. I'm giving the grape drink another mix. Yeah, the color has darkened up, but these mixes take so long to dissolve. And I use cold water right out of my fridge. My foreign MRE.com spork made out of titanium. And for those coming in late, this is a 2021 pack. So I'm going to tilt the cookie like that. Now that I got everything else opened up, I'm going to go back into the kitchen and get the main out of there. And I will bring out something that I thought might just add a little hint of flavor to this, because this vegetable barley stew was a bit sweet. So I got something that I hope will change that. I just used this to carry my hot stuff in from the kitchen, and I have a paper towel to dry it off. Tare notch goes across this way, so I just like to shake the food down. Oops, sorry about that. That way when I go to open it, I have a much cleaner rip. So this is what the vegetable barley stew looks like. It's carrots, barley, the pieces of lamb. This one does not taste quite as sweet as the last time, but I have a little something that I think will kind of just a tiny bit of curry. Yeah, that definitely cuts some of that sweetness out. So I didn't put very much of that curry. I just wanted just enough to cut some of the sweetness out. There's corn in here. The vegetables are pretty soft. That's no surprise. The corn still has a tiny bit of bite. Soldier's Girl Prepper in the house. Thanks for dropping in. This is from 2021. These halal MREs do not have menu numbers, unlike those you might find from other countries where their halal rations would have actual menu numbers. So I'm not exactly sure how many different halal menus there are in the current lineup. But I do like how the lamb was done. It's not overly processed. Well, that's okay. Now this snackadoodle mix, and this is a new one. It's got peanuts, it's got the corn nuggets, this is a sesame stick. This is kind of like a spicy corn type cracker thing. It looks like a one of those spicy rice cracker things you might get in an Asian snack mix, but it's not. And then you get these little potato sticks. That is what is in the snackadoodle mix. This one does not taste as fresh as the last one I had. Then there's this thing. It's like a candied peanut. These look like the potato sticks that were in some rations from like 30 some years ago. But I have yet to see these by themselves in a newer ration. Yeah, this mix does taste like it's been around a couple of years, but it's not the worst one of these I've had. Everything is still crunchy. The corn nuggets are like the lighter version Although this particular one does look closer to a corn nut. But it tastes like the lighter version that's a little bit more airy, not so dense. Well, that can be arranged. I eventually was going to do this anyway. These little corn sticks, as I call them, they're going in as well. But the sesame sticks are a bit sweet, so I'm not going to toss those in. The potato sticks would immediately disintegrate. So just these will give it a little bit of crunch. It also adds a bit of saltiness, even though this is salty enough as it is. Those bits of potato stick almost disintegrated. As soon as it hit the sauce. I added my own coffee since these MREs do not have a hot drink option of any kind, which I find kind of odd. I would like to know why a hot drinking option is not included in these. But yet in other countries, when you get a halal ration, you get a coffee or tea or sometimes both. I have had a French RCIR that was marked halal. There's nothing different about that ration than any other RCIR except for that the meat items were certified halal. Same with the British halal RRPs that I've had. Nothing different about them except for the mains were certified halal. I'm also curious why these are so snack heavy instead of being closer to that of a standard MRE. Just have the halal certified items in there. You know, when you get the kosher ration lines that I've had, for instance, I've had the My Own Meals. There are other ones. I think there's a different name on those. La Beirut is one, but you get the entree in a separate container, and then everything else is in the accessory bag. There's coffee in there. There's creamer and sugar. There's a cold drink option in there. I hope to find that answer someday. These roasted and salted peanuts are pretty good. Wouldn't mind just a touch more roasting. But they're crunchy. Really no different than the peanuts that are in the snackadoodle mix. The cranberries are good. They're just the straight up dried cranberries. I do not like the cranberries or raisins that have been given the osmotic treatment. I do not like that. It changes them, and after just a few years they start feeling weird, they start looking weird, and they taste weird. But these cranberries are perfectly fine. This is one of the sesame sticks. And this mix are fine. I just wouldn't put them into the main. They're not as sweet as some I've had, but I would just leave them out of the main, personally. Earlier, before a few of you came in, I put some curry powder in there. Just to cut some of the sweetness that this one has. Although this one is not as sweet as the previous one. But tossing in that tiny bit of curry definitely helps. Yeah, when I've had the older Halal MREs, I think there are only three. Let's see, I think there are only two lamb options, two lamb menus. So there is the lentil stew with lamb, there's a sag chole with lamb, now this vegetable barley stew with lamb. Then there's a halal beef stew, there is chicken and noodles, a halal chicken and noodles. One older menu I have not had is the ratatouille. I have never had that one. So I hope to get my paws on one of those one of these days and give that one a shot. I'm not sure what is the replacement for that one, if that is still in the Halal lineup or not. I don't know if this vegetable barley stew with lamb replaced that one, or what the other changes in the Halal menu lineup is. The one change I do like is this type of packaging for all of the snack items and the cookies. The thinner silver packets. You could have one of these still in date before the inspection date, and the item inside would already be stale. Because there was just not as much protection. So I do like that change. That is a definite plus. And having some new items in there, it's good to change it up. I'm sure in a few years, more changes will be made, as I guess people out in the field are still giving their feedback. But whether or not that feedback is acted on or not, who knows? There's a thick cookie. Having cinnamon in that cookie is a definite plus for me. A little extra flavor than just your typical oatmeal cookie. There is Chance in here. Thanks for dropping in. What you're looking at is a 2021 pack Halal US MRE, no menu number. This is packed by Sapaco, one of the three companies that produces and packs the U.S. rations. No coffee or any hot drink option comes in, but I pulled a packet of G7 3-in-1 coffee out of my stash. Yeah, I do these every Sunday at 7 p.m. Central, 8 Eastern. Although the first Sunday in Ramadan, which starts the last weekend of March, I will not be doing these streams because I will be helping prepare our nightly iftar dinners in my mosque kitchen. So I'm usually in there probably early afternoon till past time for the last bus to go by the bus stop that is in front of a Hy-Vee grocery store that is in front of my mosque. So I'll end up bumming a ride home. I don't drive, so I ride city buses, so that's how I get around town. So during that time, I'm very busy. I will not be on YouTube much. I may drop a mail call if I get an email that I want to show on camera, and depending on how the weather goes, I may be able to knock out a deck garden video or three. So this year will be my third year trying to grow some plants on my deck. And it's a challenge because I'm on the north side of the building. I get a small amount of sunlight coming from the east, but that's filtered through trees and around a neighboring house. There's a Nation MRE Finds in the house. Thanks for dropping in. And then in the late evening, I get some sunlight coming from the west, but again, that's filtered through some trees, a building, and the partition that separates my half of the deck from my neighbor's half. So for the rest of the day, my deck is completely shaded. So some seeds that I planted didn't do squat at all. They didn't even germinate. And some things came up out of other pots, but I have no idea what the crap they were. So I am going to do mostly herbs this time. So they seem to do the best. And my basil went bonkers last year, so I'll be trying some additional herbs that I had not tried before. So I'm looking forward to that. This is my dinner tonight. I just finished off the main. This is from 2021, packed by Sapaco. I threw a few pieces of the snackadoodle mix in there. The corn nuggets, some of the pretzels, some of the corn sticks, which I seem to have exhausted. These little potato sticks. There's plain peanuts, and then there's these candied peanuts. I did not put any of those in there. These sesame sticks I did not put in there because they're a bit too sweet. At least to add to the main. But as a whole, this mix is pretty decent. The first time I had it, it was a bit stale already. But these corn nuggets are the lighter type. They're not the real corn nuts. Got roasted salted peanuts. Straight up dried cranberries, not the osmotic kind, which I can't stand. If they're super fresh, yeah, I'll eat them. But I would still rather have these. And this oatmeal cookie has cinnamon in it. Which is a nice touch over just a plain oatmeal cookie. But I did throw in a bit of curry powder on the main because the first time I had this vegetable barley stew with lamb, it was a bit sweeter than I would have preferred. But this one was not quite as sweet, which I'm happy about. But I still decided to put in a sprinkle of curry. Just to add a little bit more of the flavor that I like. So, although there is no hot drink option in these halal MREs, you get 2 packs of sugar. What's up with that? Not that I don't mind, because they'll just get added to my stash. Not only do you get salt, you get pepper. Every US MRE should have pepper in it besides the salt. You don't get gum. You get the standard rear roll. In addition to the wet wipe, you get a napkin. But the matches are white instead of the tan ones like in other MREs. No gum. And don't put a beverage bag in these either. At least the ones that I've had, I've never gotten a beverage bag out of it. And these are snack heavy. I'm not sure if there is a logic behind it. But they have changed up the snacks from what used to be in these just from a few years ago. Still get the standard MRE spoon. And you get the flameless ration heater. I choose not to use those because I figure I'm in my apartment. I don't need to, but I want to have them in case I do need to. And things like the spoon and a napkin, all that stuff that I do not use gets added to my stash for emergency use. Or if I need to add something to my somewhat regularly updated camping food bag, which I always have stuff in. I have a bag with different seasoning packets. I got a bag with coffees and teas and the little stick drink packets. So that always stays in there. Then other stuff might get changed out. Those two new Mountain House scrambled eggs with the vegetables in it, no pork in it. I have both of those in there for the time being. And I might throw some other breakfast items like oatmeal or some kind of a breakfast porridge or something along that line, or granola. So, then, depending on what kind of a trip I'm taking, if it's with some other YouTubers, I will pack certain things just for my own consumption, and I may add items that will be part of a potluck. But then when I go on my annual family trip, I may only add a few snack items and some halal meats, and then a few other items that I would share with everybody. Like last year, I took a container of ice cream, a can of mango pulp, and then we picked up some milk there in town after we got settled into our cabins. And I made a drink called mango lassi, which we serve at my mosque. And then what we did not drink that night, put it in the freezer, and then took it out of the freezer a couple of days later, and then we ate it like ice cream because it does contain ice cream. But because of Ramadan, I will be missing the March camping trip that I have gone on in the past with some other Iowa YouTubers. But one of them said there'll be other opportunities. And then in September, I volunteer at a multicultural powwow that's put on by a member of a First Nations tribe that honors the son who tried to save a bird of prey that had landed on some power lines and got its feet tangled up. And he tried his best to save that bird, but the bird got a little spooked, and well, neither of them came off that pole alive. But they have been doing this multicultural powwow where they bring in people who do demonstrations and performances from various cultures. So it's not strictly U.S. or Canadian indigenous representation. But I've been volunteering for that, doing kids crafts for the past few years. Yeah, this Yeah, that is what I had for my dinner. Yeah. See, these utensils that I either get out of rations or I just pick up elsewhere. Say, like this coming Wednesday, I go to a meeting and we will have lunch. If I do not use the utensils that were provided with my lunch, I do not waste them by throwing them away like some people might. I bring them home. I put them in bags. That way, should I have to seriously cut back on my water use and rely strictly on the water that I've stored, I can go to something like this and not worry about using water to wash it when I could be using water to drink or prepare some food or to give to my cat. So yes, I do store water in here. I can't do it to the extent that someone can who lives in a house, but yet I can do it. And all these wet wipes, I save them as well. So those become part of my emergency supplies. I have a supply of disposable tableware like plates and bowls, cups. That's for the same reason I don't want to waste water if I have to seriously cut back on my water use if there is nothing coming out of the faucets. And if I have to rely solely on what I got stored and what I can collect in containers just sitting out on the deck, or if I have to go so far as to go down to the river and get some of that stuff, then come back home, filter it, and treat it. Out of some rations, I've gotten water purification tablets. I hold on to those because I may have to use them. And all the drink powder packets that I have, if I have to drink water that I've treated with my water purification tablets or ran through one of my filters, and even boiled, if it doesn't quite have that freshwater taste, this could do the job. My coffee could do the job. So I have instant coffee that I would go to. In 2020, when a derecho storm blew through Iowa, which is the first time we had ever heard the term derecho used to refer to what some would call a land hurricane, because it was basically like hurricane force wind, but not a tornado. But the storm acted like a hurricane, and it did a fair amount of damage across a good stretch of Iowa. So my power was out for a few days. So I got a camp stove out and I used it to boil water to make coffee using instant coffee. And I had a couple of rations that didn't require heating. So although I could have used one of these, I didn't. And then I cooked some meat that I had in my freezer that I wanted to take out and get that cooked up before it would go funky. And I did that on the camp stove on my deck. And then I just tossed in a can of sliced carrots after I cooked that deer meat. And that was my dinner. Yeah, that was during the summer, so I could have my slider open for ventilation, have my bedroom window open. But since then, I have added items to my emergency supplies, preps, that I did not have back then, so that I can better deal with the power outage. I can recharge my rechargeable lights. I could keep a phone charged up. I could keep hotspot charged up. I could run a USB powered fan. I do not have one that is big enough to keep a fridge going, because my two little power stations are that little. But because I don't get good sunlight here, if I wanted to put a solar panel out, I would have to go out into the park. And I have a buddy in a box that I added back in, I think, October. I got that thing, plus a couple of little green bottles. And then I have an adapter hose to connect to a larger tank. But because I don't want something that big to be noticed, I would limit my tank size to what I can fit inside of a suitcase I affectionately call my grocery hauler. Because I use a suitcase to haul groceries, I could literally hide stuff in plain sight, and no one would be the wiser as to what I'm bringing up to my apartment. Although the buddy was handed to me by a Walmart delivery driver, it was at night when he came, so no one else was around outside at the time. So I just got that thing up here. And then my green 1-pounders were delivered in a box, just an Amazon box. Now, I could go to Walmart or some other store that sells those, put them in my grocery hauler, and no one would know what they are because they wouldn't be able to see them. But the bigger tank, I would restrict myself to a certain size that I can put into that suitcase on wheels, and then I would find a way to conceal it so it's not so noticeable when it's out on my deck, because that thing I would keep out on the deck. And because I got a long enough hose, I can keep that out there and then have the buddy inside here with my slider just cracked open enough for the hose to go through. Oh, there's Garden State Gardener. Yep, in the house. What you're seeing there is called a channel membership. I've had the membership active for quite some time. I just don't actively promote it. It just sits there for anyone to decide if they want to. And basically what a channel membership is, for those who are not familiar with it, it is a way for a subscriber to support the channel on a regular basis. And Garden State Gardener has memberships on his own channel. And I had a guest membership, which I picked up on last month, but it expired, but I will not be able to renew that one until next time I get paid. But he decided that he would support my channel. Another way to do that is what's called a super chat. And that is where you can do a one-time thing and you can leave a comment or not. Or you can do what's called a super sticker. And then on videos, you can do what's called a super thanks. And that's another form of one-time donation to the channel, as opposed to a regular recurring donation like a membership. So I have the basic level membership in a few channels. I will not go more than a certain number because, I live on disability, so I can't afford to do a whole lot. But I can still prep. And I can still promote other channels and Sometimes they may not be able to do a contribution. Sometimes I can. Just it's just one of those things. I leave. Same thing with Patreon. I have a Patreon account, but again, I just leave it for anyone if they want to or not. You know, I leave that totally up to the viewer to decide whether or not they want to do that. So a Garden State Gardener gets an extra shout out. And there may be another goodie tossed in there. But yeah, the cat box, my membership levels are all cat related. As you can tell by my profile picture, the cat that you see there is Mila, who is no longer with me. She left this existence last May. But because she is a very special cat, I had her for 18 and a half years, or more like she had me as her human. I was her human. I just can't let that picture go away. Just like some other people who have had very special animal companions, they will keep that logo that they had that represented that special companion and keep it as their channel logo, even if they have welcomed new animals into their lives. So that's why Mila's picture will always be there. I'm known by that all over social media. And so I will just choose to keep that picture there, even though Pumpkin is the cat I serve now. Plus, there's just something about Mila's look that I have not seen in any other tuxedo cat. And I may never see another tuxedo cat exactly like her again. So I have a card up on the wall with her paw prints that the Animal Rescue League sent to me after they did the deed for me. And when I've made channel stickers, I have her picture that was part of labels from my old address. I just cut the address off and use that sticker. There's Shadow Scout Suite in the house. Thanks for dropping in. This is my dinner tonight, with a little bit of my own curry powder added. So it is early in the morning there on his side of the pond. But thanks for putting off sleep for a little while, unless you're already up for the day. Vietnamese coffee called G7 3-in-1. That was my hot drink of choice for tonight, since these Halal MREs do not come with a hot drink option. I think they should. They do it in other countries. I don't know why we can't do it here. Yeah, early in the morning. Yeah, Shadow Scout Swede does Saturday live streams, talk about different subjects. And Garden State Gardener, before he came in here, he ended up his Sunday Fun Day, where he will profile various channels. He has some guests that he will interview. But I'm out of there before he starts his giveaway portion of his live stream. So I don't get picked because I'm not there to claim a prize. Yep. Yeah, and he is doing a daily seed giveaway this month, just like he did. Well, he did it in December, he did it last month, and now he's doing it this month. And then he also sends out seeds to people who have continued to be channel members. But he also gives away stuff that is other than seeds during his Sunday Fun Day streams. He also supports the yarn community, people who do crocheting and knitting and similar yarn crafts. But almost every day he is at least putting up some video, shouting out some channel, in addition to doing it during his streams. And then some of this he's done while his son has been dealing with some of his own challenges, but that young man has overcome so much. Now, all this he does online, plus he's just trying to be the best dad he can be. So tonight, before I dropped out of his live stream, he was interviewing a guy in Jamaica who grows some seeds for Baker Creek seeds, and then plus working on a test project for Baker Creek. Checking out some things. So that was very interesting to see what kind of gardening challenges this guy can face down there. But that's what the project is about, figuring out what works and what doesn't, and go from there. I didn't have a hot pepper, but I had some hot curry. I put on my vegetable barley stew with lamb. That's what was here. But I done finished that off. Yeah, when you get a chance, if you want to see some New Jersey garden stuff, go check out Garden State Gardener later, if you haven't done so already. And because there is still some days left in this month, you can still get your name on February's Wheel of Seeds. Thanks for dropping in, Nation MRE Finds. Yeah, hopefully you will have some good sales tomorrow, because, people are still going to be needing firewood. Of course, spring and summer are good times to get your firewood ready for the next winter. That way you're not scrambling to get it when you need it the most. And even I keep sticks that I can burn, because I have a twig stove and I have a little tabletop grill that I could burn in. But like some other items that I don't want certain people to know about, I keep those under wraps. So I know where they're at, but no one else knows about it. And going back to that derecho that we had in 2020, one of the ground floor dwellers had a generator, but what that person failed to consider was the fact that you need an extension cord to run from the generator into your apartment to plug an appliance into. And I did not have anything other than a short power strip. I never did get that back, but that's okay because I can replace that, and plus I have acquired some extension cords. Two I bought as a pair, and then the other I found at a bus stop. Brought it in, tested it. Perfectly good condition. It works. Nothing wrong with it. Someone just abandoned it, or it fell off of something else, and I got it. I cannot have a gas generator here because I'm not on the first floor. And because my deck is so small, I can't get the required distance in between the generator and my slider to avoid any fumes penetrating. But even though I don't have any gas appliances inside here, that thing is actually running. I decided instead of just waiting till I actually use a camp stove, say like my little pocket stove, which I used right in front of my slider because for one thing, I'm right where the most light coming in because I had the slider wide open. Ventilation was not an issue, but I chose to go ahead and put the battery in there and get this carbon monoxide detector going. Even though the only gas appliances in this building are the dryers and that are in the laundry room several yards away, and the hot water heater, which is in the utility room, which is on the other side of the laundry room. And both of those rooms have adequate ventilation. And I've also added a fire extinguisher, even though there's one across from my door. I'd rather have my own and use it instead of taking the one down off the wall and possibly taking away someone else's opportunity to use it if they're not as prepared. Some people might think that, how would you get your own when you have one right in front of your door? Well, because there are other people in this building. That's why. If I can have something for myself and leave a similar thing for someone else, it just make more sense for me to get that. Mine may be designed for use in a vehicle. It was small enough that I could easily put into my grocery hauler because I was buying some other things at that same store. Yep, that's why I wanted to have it. And we just recently had ours in the mosque replaced that had either expired within the past year or more. So we have all new fire extinguishers in there now. Thanks for dropping in, Mike. Oop, had a brief disconnect while I was taking a swig of my grape drink. I do apologize for that. At least the disconnects that happen now are much less noticeable and much shorter than when I was using the Galaxy S5, which I still have. But it just would not do as much as it used to do. With everything being so resource intensive now. I've had that thing since 2014, so this Revel 5G that replaced a different phone, my LG Phoenix 3. I still have that one, by the way. That one is a backup plan. But I got that one because that LG, even though it's newer than the Galaxy, it was starting to act a little odd. And because of this 5G switchover, or the lower speeds were being dropped out completely, I just needed to upgrade. But the Samsung, I haven't had service on it for several years, but because I can still do internet on it, I have still kept it, but eventually I want to replace that one. But that will come in time. This one that I have active cell service on had a higher priority for an upgrade. when I first got this one, I wasn't sure if, after I put a case on it, if the jaw of this foam mount would be able to hold it, but it does. But I wouldn't go much bigger than this because it's almost maxed out as it is. And I've had to tweak the flexible arm a little bit because this phone is a lot heavier than the Samsung. And that was even before I put a case on this Rebel 5G. But I've had this phone mount probably since, I think since 2014. And it's still holding up. Being that it doesn't have rigid segments, and the fact that I have it clamped to a table that is basically a folding camp table, it does have a tendency to wobble. But the fact that it is a flexible arm means I can position it in different ways than I could one that has more rigid segments and maybe only 2 joints. I've tried playing with the position to try to get that, which is basically the tab that I can grab onto to open up the jaw. That's all that is right there, is the tab that opens up the jaw is basically showing up in front of the camera. But because of the way I have my setup here, I really can't get around that right now. I've tried playing with position, but I'll just stick to the way it is. I mean, I can always move my tray so I can give you a better view of what's on there. I do have this brightness changing. I can't figure out how to stop that. Say when I put my hand in front, it might darken, and then when I take it away, it lightens up. I have not found a setting where I can stop that. But so far, I'm glad I got this. I got it used, but nothing wrong with it. The wireless charging I haven't quite figured out. I don't know if that is disabled on this particular one because it was a refurb or what, but I can still plug it in. It uses a USB-C. So as long as I can stick one of those in it, I'm happy. Oh, I just now noticed that since Joe is now a channel member, he has a little icon next to his wrench. Yes, I modified him. Thanks for dropping in. Glad you dropped in, and I'll do something about you being my first channel member. I will probably go ahead and close this one out. I'm down to my cookie and my drinks, and then I'll clean up. And next week I might pull one of my other two chef my 5-minute meals out. And dig into one of those. And like I did last time, I will not eat the granola because I will save it and actually have that as breakfast during Ramadan, because when I'm fasting, I eat before first light. Well, most of you are still in bed. And then I don't eat or drink anything at all until just after sunset. And so I'm just going to save those granolas for that. Plus I have those granola bags I picked up probably a couple months ago. Or last month, I don't remember when I got those two, but I will be adding some more stuff for my very early breakfast. Of course, this will be nowhere near as early as I would eat breakfast during the times when Ramadan is in the middle of the summer. So that's what I'm saving those granolas for. So I'll probably go ahead and pull one of those out next Sunday. And then that other ration that I only have the 2 mains and a dessert, I want to come up with something to approximate an accessory pack that would normally be issued with that ration to make it complete. But that will be probably sometime down the road when I get into that one. So I may actually save that one until after Ramadan because I still have a few other rations I can go through before Ramadan starts. And that will give me enough time to come up with something as an accessory pack for that one. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and close this one out. I want to thank all those who have come in for the first time, and for Garden State Gardener for taking a leap into the cat box. That's one of my membership levels. I don't even remember what my premiums or rewards were for that. I would have to look at my perks, but anyway, I'll figure something out. But so same time next Sunday, 7 p.m. Central Time, 8 Eastern. Whatever other time on the other side of the pond. So anyway, thanks for watching and catch you on the flip side.